Okay, I don't have time to do many takes of this, so I am going to be stuttering this entire time. You need to be okay with that. Okay. Sans, character, from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. Sans is a fictional character created by Toby Fox for the 2015 role-playing video game Undertale. He is introduced as a comic relief and acts as the final boss if the player chooses to kill all the monsters and complete the genocide route. His name is based on the comic Sans font, which is used for most of his in-game dialogue. The character was praised by critics for his dialogue in Boss Fight, which is considered to be the most difficult in the game. His popularity with fans inspired several user-created mods and other types of projects. A version of Sans also appears as a brief cameo in the related game Deltarune. His likeness also appears as a customizable skin for the Mii Gunner character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Contents: 1. History and appearances. 1.1 in Deltarune. 1.2 in Undertale. 1.3 in other media. 2. Development. 3. Reception. 4. References. History and appearances. In Undertale, Sans is a skeleton wearing a blue jacket, black shorts with white stripes, and black slippers. Prior to the events of Undertale, he had moved to the settlement in Snowdin from an unknown location with his brother Papyrus. Papyrus was hired as a royal guard trainee sentry and forced his brother to help in his quest to capture a human. Sans first appears in Snowdin, initially appearing as a silhouette approaching the player from behind before shaking the player's hand, setting off a whoopee cushion. He clarifies that he has no interest in capturing humans, unlike Papyrus, who is described as a human hunting fanatic. After helping the player hide from Papyrus, Sans follows his brother throughout most of the forest, commenting on his puzzles and even contributing a word search, much to Papyrus's dismay. As the story proceeds, Sans continues to be a regular source of comic relief, performing such antics as attempting to sell the player fried snow. Later in the game, Sans invites the player to go eat at a restaurant with him if they so choose. As he talks, he explains how he befriended a woman behind a large door in Snowdin who shared an equal love for puns as he did. He explains how he made a promise not to kill any humans who come to the underground and states if he didn't make that promise, the player would have been dead where they stand. Spooky. That's not in the Wikipedia article. I'm gonna stop making comments now. Sans makes one more appearance in the last corridor, where he reveals the true meaning of the EXP and love values that the player has accumulated throughout the game. Execution points and level of violence, respectively. He judges the player for how high their EXP and love values are before disappearing and letting the player proceed to fight the king, Asgore. After the player defeats Asgore and Flowey, if he hasn't been fought, they leave the underground. Sans calls them to inform them of what occurred after their departure, having different dialogue depending on the player's actions in-game. If the player finishes the game without killing any monsters, Sans appears after Asgore's defeat along with the other main characters, but his soul gets destroyed by Flowey and the other 6 human souls disappeared. He is restored after the player loads their save file. If the player opts to kill every monster in each area, Sans's behavior will be very different. He threatens the player with a bad time if they proceed with their actions before the Papyrus' boss fight. If the player ignores Sans's warning and continues slaughtering every monster they meet, he eventually confronts the player in the last corridor to prevent them from destroying the world, acting as the route's final boss. Sans is revealed to have supernatural abilities and is extremely powerful, but eventually is killed by the player. In Deltarune, Sans appears as a cameo in Chapter 1 of Deltarune, where he is found standing outside his shop, a remodeled version of Grillby's from Undertale. He informs the player he has already met their mother, Toriel, and asks them if they would like to come over to his house and meet his brother. In other media, in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, a Sans costume for the playable Mii Gunner character was released as downloadable content on September 4th, 2019. Sans has also been the subject of many fan works and projects, being featured in numerous games, creations, and video game mods. 7, 8, 9, 10. Development. Sans is listed in the credits as being created by Toby Fox with special inspiration from J.N. Weedle, author of the webcomic Helvetica, a series about I need to look up how to pronounce this word.
Eponymous.
Author of the webcomic Helvetica, a series about an eponymous skeleton named after the Helvetica typeface. His first concept drawings was made by Fox on a college notebook. The song that plays during his fight, Megalovania, was originally composed for an Earthbound ROM hack for Halloween of 2009, where it served as final boss music for the alternative version of Dr. Andonuts, one of the few major characters from said game. Although the song was later featured in Homestuck, Megalovania principally rose in popularity after the release of Undertale, spawning many internet remixes and memes. Megalovania has since appeared in games like Taiko no Tatsujin Drum and Fun, I didn't even know that, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and was also used by a Spanish dating show, First Dates. I didn't know... the song was also featured in an All Elite Wrestling Halloween special, in which wrestler Kenny Omega wore Sans costume and was accompanied by the song during his entrance. He is one of the characters who does not normally use the default font in his dialogue. Rather, it is usually displayed in lowercase Comic Sans. He only uses uppercase Comic Sans if he has stated something serious or in some cases threatens the player. He is often paired with his brother named Papyrus, also named after a font of the same name. Reception. Sans' appearance in Undertale was well received by critics, with Dan Tack of Game Informer praising his boss fight. The Gamer ranked Sans as the third best Undertale character, stating that his jokes were spot on in delivery. Screen Rant ranked Sans one of the top 7 of the hardest boss fights in video games. That's weird. During the Undertale Q&A, Sans and Papyrus were the characters that received the most questions from fans. Sans was ranked as one of the best video game characters of the 2010s by Polygon staff and writer Colin Campbell, particularly his appearance and how, when he makes a joke, the camera zooms in on him when he winks. It never gets old. Okay. Sans has also been well received by fans of the game, being the subject of many fan works. I think that's like the 5th time they've brought that up in this article. Whatever. Why is it always with wrestling? Professional wrestler Kenny Omega has expressed his love of Undertale, dressing as Sans for the October 30th, 2019 episode of All Elite Wrestling Dynamite. His addition is a Mii Fighter costume in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate garnered positive feedback from fans, although the Commonwealth Times considers his addition to be a potential problem due to the decreasing nostalgia factor for each new character and ever-increasing size of the roster. Okay.